Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Welcome. I am Scoots Bronson.
And I am S. Foster.
And that's right. You tuned into another episode of the Viewers Anonymous podcast where we give you our very own reviews and takes of movies and TV straight out of Hollywood. What's going on with you, my guy?
Man, just out here trying to live life, man. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure this thing out that we call life. But,
man,
I'm really excited to get into this pod, man, because if I'm not mistaken, I think this is only the second coat one that we've done before. We did the one on the ones where the people thought that they was going to go, like aliens were going to go pick them up.
Yeah, they're changing their names, the weird shit, bro. Yeah, Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate, that's what it was. Yeah. But nah, man, like these things, man, they could be mad fascinating. So really looking forward to see what some of your points of view is going to be on this. But how you feeling today? Everything good with you?
Man, I'm feeling amazing, brother. I cannot complain. Living life, man, day by fucking day, bro. Yesterday was a super busy day. You know what I'm saying? Today was a little bit slower, but you know what I'm saying? I ended up oversleeping. But you know what I'm saying? Outside of that, everything been good, man. We back down in the fucking 50s again. Still waiting on that sunshine to pull through.
Oh man, I feel you. I feel you, boy. Good. Man, let me tell you, it dropped down here, man. Like the highest it's supposed to be this week is like, I mean, I know you would love to get this, but I'm just saying we coming off of every day of being 80, 85 last week.
Yeah.
Now, like the high is like 69 this week. Like we just got a 20-degree drop.
I take 69. I told you we had that 180-degree day, bro. And there's like, all right, y'all ain't ready yet.
Yeah, it's it completely switched up here, man. So, but you know, it is what it is. But
it'd be like that.
Yes, sir.
So, this was a very interesting, not just a documentary, but a very interesting event in time. Only because it has a connection to another event, which seemed as if it had way more publicity than this did. Mm-hmm. And after watching this documentary, and then I also was listening to the companion pod it had for Netflix, and I also found another podcast. It was a BBC podcast that pretty much had their version of it, because there were people from other countries and stuff in Waco as well. And I didn't know this, but basically the BBC pod pretty much was just talking about how David, is it Kosher? Kanesh. Yeah, David Kanesh had basically, he was on a weird tour, and he ended up in all these different countries talking about, you know, his preachings and stuff like that and his beliefs. And the people that had, you know what I'm saying, went to go listen ended up coming to America and joining him at the compound in Waco. And so for those who don't know what we're talking about, today we're doing documentary Waco, American Apocalypse. It's on Netflix. It's a 3-part docuseries. Super interesting, man. I know you know a lot about this because, you know what I'm saying, you said you've done some research on them, and I'm sure you probably got like a 28 minutes or less on them, because this is like right in your vein, and you know what I'm saying, the shit that you talk about for sure. So if you got like any bonus information or anything like that, you know what I'm saying, make sure you add that in for sure, bro. So I think that'd be super helpful, you know what I'm saying, when we talking about certain stuff in the doc and that type of stuff. So watching this docuseries, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, where was your head at? What was you thinking? How did you feel? Because I don't remember. This is my first time really hearing about Waco. Like, in depth, this is my first time hearing about Waco. Not my first time hearing about the incident, though.
Well, for me, it goes back a little further because I can't remember which one I watched first, but I watched both. They did a TV series, a little mini TV series called Waco.
Yeah.
Back in 2018, and it was a documentary that came out the same year. And I watched both of them. Very interesting watch when it comes to both. Now, this version is more of the DEA and the FBI story on their side and their version of the story. And the TV series was, on the accounts of the people who made it out and things like that. Like, they were just telling like stories about, because there also was video. There's a lot of video that that David Koresh had, had things recorded when it was in the compound and things like that. Because like he was a guy that wanted his word to be out. So there was a lot of, material that was recorded in there that they ended up sending out. So they was able to make their version of what happened. And then also the documentary, was telling the whole thing of the, the 51-day standoff, but also at the same time, it was more of the buildup of the things that was going on before they even got there. Like, they was telling the story of how they was even able to get the guns that they got, the amount of guns that they got, the amount of ammo that they had, and all that type of shit like that. Like, that shit tells all of that. You know what I'm saying? The shit that came out in 2018. And the other scenario that you brought up was, and this is something that they might have mentioned it then, but I forgot. But the fact that Timothy McVeigh showed up, you know what I'm saying? And he was out there selling bumper stickers and anti-government shit. And we seen what he did 2 years later when it comes to the Oklahoma City bombing and shit.
Right.
But sidetrack a little bit, but it still got to do with Waco. Something else that's very interesting about just that town of Waco is the fact of, you know what I'm saying, Baylor University is there. And in 2003, 10 years after the shit, there was a murder on the basketball team. Like, there was a documentary that came out. I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
But there was a basketball player that was murdered by his teammate. It was a Patrick Dennehy, I think his name was. He was the guy that got murdered. But the dude that shot him was Carlton Dixon, which he was the teammate. And so that to go down, you know what I'm saying? So that happens in 2019. No, excuse me. 1993, this whole shit happened that we're doing today. 10 years later, you know what I'm saying, a college teammate murders his teammate. And then 2012 to 2016, the whole rape scandal shit that goes on at Baylor under Art Browse. And it's like, what the fuck is going on in Waco, dude? It's like Waco gets the most headlines for the most wildest shit, yo. Like, for a 51-day standoff with the government from a cult leader, 10 years later, a teammate gets murdered by his teammate, and then there's a rape scandal that goes on for 4 years, and they just kept sweeping the shit under the rug, where these girls are telling these stories of how they got raped, getting raped by dudes on a football team.
And they pretty much silencing the shit.
Yeah, they just, you know what I mean? And that's why on the Dan Levitar show, like, Stu guys do this thing called the Weekend Observations. You know what I'm saying? I love the Weekend Observations. And at the end, like, he always have a little thing like let's just be like, he'll say some shit like what the hell is going, like LeBron James scored 49 points last night. What the hell is going on? Speaking of hell, say hi to Art Browse. Like, he do that every time. That's at the end of every time he does it. Anytime he say hell, he say hi to Art Browse, because that shit was so fucking crazy what was going on down there. So I just bring that up to just give just a little bit more of a background of like there's just some wild shit that just happens in fucking Waco, dude. But anyway, to answer your question, that was very long-winded. This version was I feel like the 2018 version was a little bit better because it's more they go more in depth with the code, the actual code. This is more of the FBI's and the DEA version of them having their negotiators, you know what I'm saying, negotiating. Then they brought this special ops dude, sniper guy in, and you know, when he was telling his version of the things that he had to deal with, they had news reporters speaking on this and shit like that. And I don't know if we should even get into Kathy right now, you know what I'm saying? But Kathy is out here wilding in these streets. But yeah, like this version was good. Like I'm not gonna shoot it down. I was more of a fan of the ones that came out in 18. But I mean I did learn a little bit more in this one. But overall, man, anything that's dealing with cults is always fascinating to me with the way that the human mind works when it comes to people that need a leader because they need to be able to follow somebody in this whole thing of worshiping people. That's just something that I've never been cool with. It's something that I never never been my desire to hold a person to this standard and get a belief that's so strong that I will set a compound on fire and kill myself and 20 kids. Like I don't know if there's something that I believe enough that strongly to do some shit like that. So go ahead. You got it.
No, I would say I definitely agree with you. And it's so crazy how when we talk, you know what I'm saying, like when we talk about cults and we're talking about all of these different religious these like super religious groups throughout history. Like we mentioned guys like Jim Jones, we mentioned, you know what I'm saying, like all the guys in those lanes, you know what I'm saying, the Heaven's Gates cult and all those different shits. Waco usually doesn't get brought up. And I'm not sure if that's because of the whole situation in general, like because with Jim Jones, he went to another country and they committed mass suicide. With Heaven's Gate, you know what I'm saying, they all went to a house and ended up committing suicide. So like they all went to a certain point and they all went through with it. What was interesting though is I was listening to the companion podcast for this, and they were saying how, you know what I'm saying, one of the guys that ended up surviving, he believed that the only reason that Keshner ended up dying was because one of the people there decided to go ahead and just kill him. And they felt like he was actually going to do what Jim Jones tried to do, which was get everybody to commit suicide and then just bounce and get away with everything and look like the hero at the end of the day. But we actually a little bit too far in. Let's go ahead and just give a brief synopsis, because for the people who don't know or the people who haven't seen this or even heard about this event at this point in time, because I know this is something that usually isn't talked about. The situation at Waco basically was it was a 51-day standoff, and it was 1993? Yeah. So in 1993, there was a standoff between the Branch Davidians, which was the religious group that David Keshner had pretty much led, and also the ATF. And they had pretty much found out that the Branch Davidians had been stockpiling a bunch of ammunition, a bunch of weapons and everything else. And in the midst of all of this, there was someone who had seen, I I guess one of their stock trucks or whatever had dropped some grenades or like a pack of grenades or whatever, or, you know what I'm saying, something to that effect. And they had called it in. The ATF was supposed to go raid the compound because they had a big, huge compound where everybody was living in. And in the midst of raiding that compound, they were trying to find a way to get in without being seen and heard. Of course, you know how government agencies work. And what ended up happening was they sent two journalists there. And one of the journalists had gotten confused so much so where he asked a mailman, how do you get in to the compound? Where is the entry to the compound? And not knowing that the mailman is actually a citizen and a Branch Davidian himself. And so he goes to tell David Kessler, and he basically lets them know, hey, we got to get ready because they're coming to raid the compound. And in the midst of that, they decide to raid it anyway, even though, you know what I'm saying, they kind of got a hint that, because I believe they had an inside man, and they had a hint that basically that they knew they were about to go through with the raid. They went through with the raid anyway. From the way it looks like the ATF was the aggressor in this situation. And they basically got met with what they pretty much deemed to be, you know what I'm saying, a group of incompetent people. But what they ended up finding out was these people were a lot more ready than they thought they were. And pretty much it ended with, just like as I said, the compound ended up catching fire. I believe they said it was 70 plus people who ended up dying, 73? 82 people ended up dying in total in the compound.
82 in the compound and 4 8. I don't know if it was ATF or DEA agents.
No, it was 4 ATF agents that died, but it was a lot more that ended up getting injured.
Yes.
Because it was some that got shot and everything else too. So it was 4 that died. It was others that were injured. And pretty much that was one of the like biggest moments in history because it was a 51-day standoff. And also this was the first time where the news reporters and news outlets were actually reporting live from the scenario on American turf. This has never been done before on American turf. We've never heard or seen anything like this before Waco 1993. So that's pretty much, you know what I'm saying, the basis of everything that's going on. What I find interesting though is the fact that they sent 2 journalists to pretty much map out the area so they would be able to raid it, and ended up backfiring on them. And after seeing this, after hearing this and everything, and realizing that, you know, things could have been a lot different, especially when they were in the midst of negotiations. And Kessler was talking to the first dude, I think his name was Jim. They're talking to him. He was negotiating with him at first, and he was saying, like, yo, why did y'all send all these dudes here? He was like, yeah, we just want to talk about everything and all that shit. He was like, yeah, you want to talk now because y'all getting y'all ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all getting fucked up out here. Of course, I would want to talk too if, you know what I'm saying, I thought I was just going to run through y'all shit, and it didn't happen. He said, why did y'all just come through and talk to us to begin with? He said, we could have talked about it then. He was like, you came in and put all these people in danger for nothing. And what's interesting is in this documentary, when they go to talk about who shot first, you hear the dude from the ATF, his first thing was like, yeah, I heard a shot from their side. And it's like, bro, you know good and goddamn well they didn't shoot first, bro. You know good and damn well they didn't shoot first. Because even when the dude explained what was going on, he said that they went to go open the door to see something. Next thing you know, he said all you heard was just bullets flying and gunshots. I'm like, that's how you know somebody didn't shoot first, because why would that be his description? And then when the dude from the ATF get to talking is, yeah, they shot first. So you don't even describe it. You don't talk about it or nothing. That just sounded so suspicious to me. So basically, they put all of those people in danger when truthfully they could have just went up there and was like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what y'all got these guns and shit for. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's a little weird. Y'all on our radar. Y'all gonna have to give some of these shits up. And I think that it might have been a little arguing or something, but eventually I think they would have went through with the shit and gave up some of them guns.
Wow. So we disagree on two things.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think it makes more sense that they did shoot first. Not the ATF. The reason I think that they shot first is for the simple fact of, we heard David Koresh talk about, is their American right to have the bear arms and all this type shit, and we can, you know what I'm saying? We can, because the thing is, like, the way that a lot of those people thought was like, the reason that they will stockpiling, because I think that they was preparing for this type of thing to come, because there's another. Oh man, you know, I think it was that Heaven's Gate joint that we was watching, where there was a standoff there. No, there was.
You talking about with the Indian dude? You thinking of Our Country?
You know what that is? What I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
Wild Country.
Wild Country. Yeah.
Yeah, Wild Country. And because like a lot of them know.
Yeah, we covered that too, didn't we?
Well, I did Wild Country on the Stolen Time podcast where I watched it.
Right.
And the thing about them is like they're all about that whole stand your ground shit. And so when the reporter guy was like, yo, and he was talking to the mailman goes in there, who actually lives in the compound, tells them, and they already had, I think, I don't remember who the guy that was undercover was actually with. I don't know if he was, I can't remember if he was CIA, FBI, AT. I don't remember what he was.
I think he was DEA.
So he probably was DEA. So when he went out to tell them, like, yo, they know we're coming, I think that they looked at it more like, yo, we're going to protect our compound. This is the whole reason why we stockpile this shit in the fucking first place. Because they whole shit is really anti-government. They more of, let us do our own fucking thing, and we quote unquote ain't bothering nobody. You know what I'm saying? We got our own shit going on. Y'all come on our property fucking with us. And it could have either been a situation where somebody misfired, or it just could have been a person like, yo, back the fuck up, and they shot first. Because this is my thing, and I don't want to make it racy, but like a lot of those people were more like, I feel like the way that the government kind of looked at them was like, yo, listen, this, what I'm about to say, this shit fucking matters. There's a ton of fucking white people in here. We don't want to go in here and just start blasting all these people. We know if this cult was full. See, I disagree. I don't think that they wanted to go in there gun blazing. I think that what they wanted to do was make a mass arrest in there. Even if they would have, and another thing, I don't think they ever would have gave up their guns. I mean, look how the country act now.
I don't think they would have gave up all of them. I think they would have did something to where they worked something out. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, see, I disagree, because I think the way that people are now, because the whole thing about the gun laws for me, and I'm not trying to get all politics and stuff, but it's just like, yo, at the end of the day, I don't know why it's necessary to have automatic weapons. Like, I don't know why you need an AR-15 or AK-47 in your house.
This is America. That's why.
Like, it's the dumbest shit ever. Like, oh, we want to protect our home. Okay, you can't protect your home with a 38, or you know what I mean?
Okay, so this is the one thing that I'm a little disappointed about with this documentary, is they didn't dive deep enough into the fear aspect of the Branch Davidians. And this to me is usually the same thing with all cults, right? So their belief was that the end of the world was coming. That was his whole thing. If you and especially when you watch the little bit, that they talked about, he was quoting from Revelations. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about the Bible and Revelations, it talks a lot about the end of the world. It talks about the 7 pillars. It talks about, the coming of the 4 horsemen, like of the apocalypse and all that other stuff. And so that was his teaching. His whole teaching thing was just being about the apocalypse. And that I thought that was super weird because like this is the first time that I've ever seen a cult based on the end of the world through the Bible. Not necessarily just, they getting ready for the apocalypse type shit and, shit like that. But his whole thing was, remember, he was talking about how he was the second coming of Jesus. And, because he's the second coming of Jesus, people are going to disagree with him. And whatever he was, teaching from Revelations and everything is that, they're going to say that that's not real. And they're going to say that it's all false. And they were going to come for him. And the reason that they were stockpiling all that ammunition and everything else was to basically protect themselves in the apocalypse. Because they knew that if whatever, they knew that whatever they were doing, or they thought that whatever they were doing was the right thing. So when it was all said and done, they knew that all the evil was going to come for them to get them to, turn away from God. And that was his, that's pretty much like the basis of his teaching. And so when I was listening to these different pods and then, just watching this too, what I noticed is that once you get into a person's belief system, you can get them to do anything and you can get them to go along with anything. And because he was, because he dove into the fear factor of religion for these people, you started to see how these people kind of had, turned their faith to him. Because even if you notice the way that they talk about him or little things that they said about him, when they mentioned like God, they weren't talking about God the way everybody else talks about God. They were calling basically him God. And, like it was a little weird because like the Kathy chick, You brought this up though, but the Kathy chick was like, she was talking like she was still with the shit. Mm-hmm. Like she was talking like this shit wasn't over. And I was sitting there watching this shit and I had to rewatch it when you had said it because I'm sitting there looking like, hold on. Like, yeah, she a little too into this shit. Like, is she still, Like, she still got something going on? Because I don't know. She said she was talking like the shit wasn't over. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I thought
she said, I'm not a person. I'm a tool for God.
Yeah, like
what the fuck?
That's what I'm saying. And it was so fucking weird, bro. Cause it's like, you see, like to me, you see, how I'm saying, how serious some people are with religion, right? Like some people don't play. And we know throughout history, like people have died for their beliefs and for their religious beliefs, of course. And so you kind of see how it's a little easy to get certain gullible people to join into these cults, to join into these groups, to play on their beliefs, especially their fears, dealing with religion and everything else, because, these are the type of people is like, bro, you don't want to go against God. Like these people probably ain't cussing. These people probably ain't doing a whole bunch of different shit. And second part, the thing that I didn't like that they didn't get into was the fact of his pedophilia. And, they talked a little bit about how he was basically, once you joined the Davidians, how, saying your wife pretty much became his wife. And then he was taking the daughters of his wives and marrying them as well. And then I remember they said the Rachel chick, she was 14 when they got married.
No. Yeah, Rachel. Yes. I'm thinking of Heather. Yes.
Yeah. Right. So Rachel was 14 when they got married. So it's like you know what I'm saying? Like it's to me, a lot of times these cults are just like weird ass ways of these older dudes or just these weird dudes being able to do, you know what I'm saying, all this illegal shit with younger girls and, you know what I'm saying, and women that they couldn't do, you know what I'm saying, in real life without this type of, you know what I'm saying, propaganda floating around.
This the wild part though. Mm-hmm. Back to Kathy. That's what I'm saying. Kathy got, something's going on up there because she's like, the whole point that you said about Rachel, right, being 14, she was like, that's society telling you that that's too young. He was like, because the way we look at things, a 12-year-old is an adult. This is what Kathy said in 2000.
That shit was crazy.
I'm saying, like Kathy, like you said, it's like she's still there.
I'm telling you, man. Her brain has not left that compound.
It hasn't. And for you to have a belief to sit there and think that a 12-year-old, I got a 15 and a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
These motherfuckers ain't grown. You hear me? Like you're not gonna tell me a 12-year-old is considered an adult in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's able to get these people in here and get them to believe in something, and it's something I can't grasp it, dude. Like I can't. For me, I am a person. Make it make sense. You can't tell me. You can't put me in a place and tell me that a 12-year-old is an adult and society is telling us that 18 is. It's like, well, there's a reason why they're saying that 18 is, because there are certain things that change you 18. A lot of the time, you stop growing when you're 18.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know what I'm saying? You can join the army at 18. You can,
your brain is entering the developmental stage at that point too.
Exactly. So there's a reason why they kind of say 18 is kind of the thing. There's scientific things that are there that is telling you that this is around the time, you know what I'm saying, you really hit that you know what I'm saying, that peak or whatever, whatnot. You're not gonna tell me that's for a fucking 12-year-old.
And you know what's also interesting, bro, is the similarities between these, like, quote unquote religious cultish leaders. And I just I should have put the air quotes on just the religious part, but these cult leaders, is that, remember the family that we covered in the one doc about the weird Mormon cult?
Yeah.
And
the killers of the Mormons,
the murder and the Mormon mortar, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Murder amongst the Mormons. I think that's what it was. But it's the same thing. Like, remember, he branched off of whatever certain sect of Mormonism, and then he ended up creating his own system of beliefs or whatever. And they did the same thing to where his son kind of seen what he was doing, and his son ended up eventually taking over and doing the same thing. What was interesting about this is that Kessner was a Seventh-day Adventist before all of this. And I think his name was something different too. Like, I forgot what his real name was, but I think it started with like a V or something like that. But, you know, he ended up basically changing his whole thing and changing his name to David Kessner and all this other stuff off of those beliefs. And because of that, he was able to focus just on, like I said, he was focusing on that apocalypse aspect of religion. And I think that what's weird is some people kind of see the effects that it has. Like, when you're sitting in these churches and you're sitting around all these people, and you get into talking to them and everything else, and you kind of see their mindset in this whole thing. And you start to realize that, there's that fear aspect is super, super big.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's super, super big. And if you can find a way to play on that in people's belief system and people's mindset, then you can really get them to do just about anything, because there's no way I join this religion and I'm starting to, listen to your teachings and I'm believing you. And then you tell me that, okay, my wife, she can still be my wife, but she's going to be your wife too. And there's nothing I can do with her, but you can do everything with her.
Dude, to the point where, like, even Kathy, that's something else. Kathy is a very used oneness thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about how they would have like these Bible study type things where there's nothing but the women. And like they're basically competing to be the one that he takes into their bedroom that night.
Yeah.
And it's just like, to sit back as a man to be like, yo, to know, all right, this only woman's meeting that's going to happen with David, and possibly, let's just say I've been married to this woman for 10 years and we got 2 kids or whatever. I'm just fine with, my wife going to this thing all of a sudden, and then she don't come to bed the night because she with him, and I'm all good.
Right.
Like, to believe in something that strongly, like, no, I'm not rolling. Like, I'm not rolling because
that's a little weird, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking at it more like, no, like, dude, we've seen the Bible and religion be used for things, or to justify, like, we've seen it being used to justify slavery. We've seen it be used to justify wars. Like, they use the Bible for Jim Crow. Like, there's a lot of things that the Bible and religion be used for. And also polygamy.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at the Catholics, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that me and Uncle Weinstein had did, you know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about the keepers. And even the keepers, not even just the keepers, like we did a spotlight on here. Like, they're using religion to either sleep with young boys or to get girls to give them head and say that, that my sperm is the sperm of God, and you know what I'm saying? And telling this to young girls so they can get their dick sucked and they can bust in their mouth. Like, this shit is crazy. And you wonder why there's so many people who are exploring other things. And it's just like, my whole thing is, it's not that I'm really exploring other things. For me, it's just like, make it make sense.
Yeah.
I question everything. Like, don't tell me one thing and then just say, yo, this is what it is. And if I have a comeback for it, it'd be like, yo, well, this, and that. Like, give me a reasonable thing to why I can say, yo, that makes sense. And everything I just said, none of this shit makes sense. So no, I'm not coming to your compound. You're not sleeping with my wife. My kids aren't all of a sudden your fucking kids too. No, like,
and you're not raising them to be your goddamn bride and all that weird shit. Like, to me, all of that is so. I mean, it's so, for me, it's weird, but it also, I'd be remiss to say that it doesn't interest me. The same reason that, Hitler interests me. The way that you can, what I'm saying, like, get into a person's psyche so much to where they literally follow every word you say. They lean on every word, every breath, as if you are, what I'm saying, like, basically they treated him like he was God. And that, to me, that's a very interesting concept to dive into one day. So moving forward, pretty much somebody calls in a tip about this group of people having these weapons, and excuse me, a group of people having these weapons. The ATF gets a hold of it. They find out that it's pretty much, the Branch Davidians, and then they compound and everything else. They end up having the inside man. The inside man confirms that, they got a shitload of weapons. It's time to move in on them. And this pretty much begins this whole situation in which we are in. because they couldn't actually go in and because they don't know the layout of everything, what they ended up doing was sending out 2 journalists. And this is the interesting part about this. The journalist gets lost. Him and his dude get lost. He asks the mailman. The mailman pretty much finds out what's going on. This is the thing. They said it was a lady who went on one of the news channels and said pretty much that we found out how they kind of knew what ended up happening. I believe it was the David Mulaney dude who ended up getting out of backlash. Or was it somebody else?
Well, you talking about with the FBI or the?
No, it's talking about the reporter dude. It was a reporter who told them, who pretty much blabbermouthed what was going on because he was asking the mailman, how do you get in here? Because there's going to be a raid later. And because he said that, that, you know what I'm saying, that kind of gave them the information and it tipped them off. And there was another journalist who went on a news outlet and pretty much told everybody the reason that they knew what was going on was because of that journalist who had pretty much told them what was going on. But she put it in the aspect of he tipped them off that it was going on because he had something to do with the Davidians, which, you know what I'm saying, of course, he didn't have anything to do with it, and it had kind of ruined his career and everything else. And it was crazy because he was like just getting his career started. And like they had interviewed him on the podcast part, and he was saying how he had just got done talking to Tom Brokaw. And he was like, yeah, you know, I got a chance to interview him and everything else. And he was like, the next thing you know, he said, everything is going good. And she goes on, she talks about what she talks about. And now I'm literally put in a whole nother, he said he got put in a whole nother news group in Dallas just to lay low so people wouldn't have to ask questions and everything else. And I thought that was, you know what I'm saying, something to kind of, you know what I'm saying, pick apart, because with everything that had happened, you know what I'm saying, and them not expecting the group, you know what I'm saying, the Davidians to, you know what I'm saying, be as prepared as they were, it kind of backfired on the ATF. And it kind of backfired heavy. Because, yeah, they lost 4 people. They got more injured, but also they got put into a 51-day standoff when I don't think that they knew exactly, you know what I'm saying, like what was in store. And it's weird because it's like you see these situations where like the government will do something and then it ends up getting smacked in the mouth. And now it's just like, okay, let's regroup, but we about to make their life a living fucking hell. And then next thing you know, a fucking building is caught on fire.
Yeah, and the one thing that they did do towards the end of this TV series, this docu-series, is the fact that they did take a lot of responsibility of like, yo, like we screwed up a lot. Yeah. And they did screw up a lot, but I think that, look, I would never sit back here and just, you know, say, like, this is the thing. What's really tricky for me is the fact of, like, what made this whole situation very, very difficult is the amount of children that was involved.
Absolutely.
Like, it's very tough because usually I feel like if it was a situation where it was all adults in there, they would have just been like, yo, fuck this shit. We gassing, we busting in, and we, you know what I'm saying? Whoever comes out, come out. If you don't, you don't. But I think because they knew that it was so many children in there that they couldn't go in there gun blazing because they knew how bad it was going to look. So I think that something that David Koresh knew was, I can use these kids to my advantage because I know
used everybody to his advantage. Though.
He did use everybody, but the thing about David, as as crazy as we want to say that he is, like he wasn't a dumbass. You know what I'm saying? Like he knew that he really controlled this whole situation. It's why I say because of David and the kids is the reason why it lasted 51 days, because they knew how bad it would look if they went in there and just for the government. I think the government, like, they knew they took an L when it comes to it, but at the same time, like, they don't want to seem fully responsible for the children of the death of these children. So David used that to his advantage to stall, hold them off, and all that type of shit. Another thing that the government fucked up with is when Kathy came out. So when Kathy came out, they let her see her son or whatever, all this type shit. But as soon as they took the son away from her, they put handcuffs on her. The next thing you know, you see her walking in the goddamn orange jumpsuit. So now the other people who possibly would have came out, they're like, yo, why the fuck am I gonna come out now? Like, we just saw Kathy fucking.
That's not about to happen.
That wasn't supposed to be released to the public. So they screwed up on a lot of things. And I think that if they didn't see Kathy necessarily get locked up like that, I don't think it would have been 82 casualties. I think that some more people would have came out, but they got the image in their head of Kathy being locked up. And they're like, wait a minute. So y'all telling me as soon as I leave this place, I'm going to jail? Like, nah, like, because they felt that they wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right.
But also to speak on what I was speaking on earlier, as far as like gun laws and shit like that, like, yo, they had 50 calibers in there, yo.
Nigga, they said they had over a million pounds of ammunition, bro.
Of ammunition, like, dude, 50 cows can take down a jumbo jet, yo. Like, the reason why they didn't use the tanks the way that they wanted to, because a 50 cal can shoot through them motherfuckers. You telling me they were able to just fucking buy one? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these gun laws are so fucking crazy. Like, no one person should be able to just buy a 50 cal unless even if you have military training and you was in the military, there's no reason for you to be able to have it at your home. You know what I'm saying? This is where things get turned into a political aspect too. Yes. This is another thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way about this documentary. It was more so about that, right? It was more so about gun laws and this whole political aspect of you know what I'm saying, of what people should and shouldn't be able to do, which to me is the whole basis for everything that's going on, which, you know what I'm saying, as you've seen down the line, Timothy McVeigh, so on and so forth. I don't think that them having all those weapons made a difference. I think the true thing is that you had, and this is to me what I always say, you had this group of people, this large group of people who was following this one person. And anytime in history you see something like that, that person becomes a pariah in the eyes of the social power, right? And so, even though, don't get me wrong, Kessner wasn't an angel by far, he definitely should have been, you know what I'm saying, eyes kept on him and everything else because of what he was doing with women and with young girls and, you know what I'm saying, with those people in general. I think that should have been the focus of, you know what I'm saying, those government agencies more so than the fact that this motherfucker just got a bunch of fucking guns. Because to me, it seemed as if you know what I'm saying, like, yeah, okay, it's cool to marry a 14-year-old and it's cool to, you know what I'm saying, impregnate all these women and, you know what I'm saying, pretty much get all these women to become all your wives, as long as, you know what I'm saying, you don't get no whole bunch of guns or you ain't dealing no drugs, you ain't doing nothing else. You can keep, you know what I'm saying, sleeping with these young girls. You can do all that all you want, but
just don't get no fucking guns. You know what I'm saying? Just don't be out here, you know what I'm saying, moving drugs, or don't be, you know what I'm saying, getting alcohol, or make sure you pay your taxes. Like, to me, that the focus wasn't where the focus should have been. And I feel like with Keshner, he could have been went down if they went about it the right way. Because if you had a mole in there already and he was giving you information on everything, you had everything you needed to be able to move in and get him out of there. He was marrying 14-year-old girls.
But then you got to look at how things are being done in Utah. You know what I'm saying? With the Mormons and shit. It's like they're doing the same shit.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And saying it is religion. And like the government tends to stay out of their way. I think that because with them, for the most case, other than that documentary that they did, they're not violent.
Right.
Like they really I mean, same thing. They have their own compounds.
I mean, shit, but up until that point, neither was the Davidians.
Yeah, they wasn't, but I think that the ATF used that for a reason to go in there and to basically, I don't know if they was gonna, like, my thing is, I don't know what their intention was. I don't know if they were, because the thing about it is, when it comes to the gun law, because of the way it was being written and all this type of shit, it's like, what are y'all gonna do? Y'all was gonna go in there and just take the grenades? You know what I'm saying? Like, they use that for an excuse to go in there, because Absolutely. I think that they're looking at it like, what do y'all plan on doing with this stuff? And see, because with Timothy McVeigh being what he was, being anti-government, Wild Country, same thing, anti-government. So what they want to do is they want to create their own government, have their own security, their own police, their own everything. So it's just like, they did the same thing with Wild Country. It was the same thing where, like, they had their own government. They had their own banks, own doctors, and everything.
Yeah, they had their own police and all that.
All that shit. So I think the government is looking at it like, nah, like, we got to come in here and we got to fuck this shit up.
And see, that's where everything gets fucked up, and that's where everything gets cloudy, because the government interferes in certain aspects, to me personally, where I feel like they should keep their fucking nose out of people's business. Now, with the Wild Country thing, that's a little different. Them motherfuckers deserve to be surveyed and reconned and all that shit, because they was just going in and taking shit from people. Like, they was just moving in the shit. Same thing with the Mormons when they went down to that city and they basically ran all them people out. So that, like, to gentrify a gentrified area is crazy. That shit blew my fucking mind. But so, like, for shit like that, I get it. The thing that I don't get about the Davidians is the fact that they never harmed anybody. It wasn't like they was doing a whole bunch of wild shit. They had a compound where they was doing their shit. But the government's focus was never on what they should have been focusing on. It was more so just on the fact that these motherfuckers just had all of these weapons. And just like you said, their whole thing is, what do they plan on doing with all these weapons? Why do they have all these weapons? Bro, they not doing nothing, though.
But what we don't know is what, like I said, I haven't seen the one in 2018 since then. So it's been years. It's a little cloudy.
Yeah.
I don't know if the inside guy ended up telling them intel of, like, they was planning something. I don't remember that part. But my whole thing is, like, I think what the government was looking at was, now I'm not caping for them.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know if it was a situation where there was some intel that they was getting that they planned it. Like, the plan was to do something. You know what I'm saying? With all of this weapon, like, what do you need this much weaponry for? Like something because, like I said, Timothy did the same thing. Like, he planned this shit. He planted a bomb, put that shit. And then the crazy part was, this is what I didn't realize until I watched this part. I might have heard it before and forgot. But that government building that he blew up
Yeah, and the director, the FBI director.
He was in that building. Yeah, the same guy that handled, you know what I'm saying, some of that shit in Waco worked in Oklahoma City.
Well, see, this is the thing, though. If Waco never happens, Timothy McVeigh never does this. Or at least let's just use that because that motherfucker was crazy in themselves. But I think because of the fact that you seen this, and this is the thing, right? And I think this is what I kind of harped on too, and I kind of understood where they were going with this whole thing. Is you see that government kind of imposes itself in situations where it shouldn't, especially when it comes to civilians, and they impose themselves for no reason. And it's like, yeah, okay, you got this guy who has this cult or whatever, and this cult is based on like the fear of the end of the world, the end of the, you know what I'm saying, end of everything, the apocalypse, so on and so forth. But then you have this government agency who's doing the same thing where it's about fear. Their whole thing is, why do they have all these weapons? What are they planning? What are they trying to do? You know what I'm saying? They looking at possibilities that's not even being pertained to. Like, these people don't give two fucks about nothing else. They doing that shit to quote, well, they're saying they're doing it to protect themselves during the apocalypse. And whatever that means for them. You know what I'm saying? I could see if their whole thing was, when we get all these guns, we're going to get together and we're going to go out here and we're going to teach these people the strength of God. And we're going to bring down the hand of God on these people. I could see if they was out here talking that way. But this motherfucker was just hoarding hoes.
He was hoarding hoes. But let me play devil's advocate real quick.
Go ahead.
So, Charles Manson.
Yeah.
He had a smaller cult following. And the thing about Charles Manson was, like, it was something crazy. Like, he was the first person to get like some of the charges that he got when he never physically murdered anybody. He convinced people to do it for him, right? So my thing is, could it have been a situation where they looked at him like a Charles Manson, and they was like, the difference between him, because, like, if I'm not mistaken, Charles Manson sent them people in there with knives, and it was just a random fucking house.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And they just went in there and you know, like, basically said, you know, God told me to kill y'all or whatever. I forget what the wording was, but so it's a long-winded question, but, like, what if this could have been like a Charles Manson situation, but these motherfuckers ain't rolling up on people with knives. They got 50 cows and all types of shit like that. What are your thoughts on that? Like, putting the Charles Manson theory out there.
I think if they used the Charles Manson theory, right, that's an excuse. Because government agencies, you know what I'm saying, like that, they tend to look at tendencies. They tend to analyze everything. And by 1993, they had enough development within those organizations to be able to see a certain group and know whether or not they're going to be a threat or not, right? Mm-hmm. This group wasn't a threat. The only threat that it was the fact that this motherfucker just had control of a bunch of people. We've seen this throughout history. You know, Jesus was, you know, he had a following too. And what did they do? They killed him. Martin Luther King had a following. What did they do? Kill him. You know what I'm saying? JFK, you know, he had the minds of people. What did they do? They killed him. So throughout history, when you become this person who has this attention and you have this, you know, you have this hold on people, I feel like what ends up happening is they see that and they say, we cannot let this happen because this doesn't become a threat to society. This becomes a threat to power. And I feel like that's what this was. This was a threat to the power structure of, you know what I'm saying, America. because I mean, same thing with Jim Jones and all the rest of them. When you're able to move the masses, that takes away from the power of these government entities, right? You're seeing this with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a cult following. Yeah. And it don't matter what this motherfucker do. He said it himself. I go out there and shoot somebody in the middle of the street, these motherfuckers still gonna vote for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We seeing it now. This motherfucker getting locked up. This motherfucker at UFC. He's standing up. They clapping for him. Like, we're seeing this happen and playing out day to day right now in real time. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, off before the next election. You know what I mean? They trying their best to get him locked up. But I wouldn't be surprised if that fails and then they be like, oh man, Donald Trump died, you know what I'm saying, 2 days before the election. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at none of that shit. But this is the type of thing that the government has always done. They've always gotten rid of what they deem to be a threat to the power structure. Abraham Lincoln, and we go down the list.
Yeah, perfect example. And I am not comparing them at all.
Right.
I'm just saying, but a perfect example, the Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panthers went out to hurt nobody. They was a non-violent group, but they carried guns.
No, you are right. That is the perfect example.
Yeah, like there was a non-violent group, but they were willing to defend themselves if needed. You know what I'm saying? Like their whole thing was, you know, it started out with helping the people in their community. You know what I'm saying? When it came to breakfast programs, when it came to free clinics, when it came to, you know what I'm saying, all that type shit. But also,
they were literally called the Black Panther Party for self-defense.
Yeah, like self-defense. Like, we want to make sure if y'all pull a black man over, that his rights don't get violated. You know what I'm saying? And like our whole thing is like the government says we have the right to bear arms. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they did. When they marched on fucking Sacramento, they didn't break any laws. Because the one thing that they never tend to mention is when they went to the state capitol, they had their rifles, but they wasn't loaded. Yeah. Because the way that it was set up was you can carry this arm, you can carry it, but it can't be loaded. You know what I'm saying? And they wasn't loaded. But they give off this impression that they was out there doing something illegal and they want to kill cops and stuff like that. Like all the situation where there were shootouts, the cops was the ones who always started the shit. So yeah, now I'm not comparing them, but I'm just saying that this is a situation where the government intervenes where, you know what I'm saying, they didn't want to see a rise of a black messiah, but in this case, they didn't want to see a rise of really of that type of messiah, because the thing about David Koresh is like, I don't know if we ever gonna find out what his real intentions were. Yeah, because I don't think the people that came out is willing to tell us. I think that we could get a snippet, you know what I'm saying, from the things that Kathy was saying, and some of the things that I think my dude name was David Thibodeau. Yeah, David Thibodeau. Yeah, like he was giving some of the things that was happening there, but I don't think they're really telling us the real accounts of some of the messaging that David was putting out there. So I think that that's something that we're never gonna know. What his intentions were, because like you said, they use the excuse of, yo, if there's going to be an apocalypse, we're going to be ready. But like, who the fuck are y'all fighting? To have that type of ammunition, like, who is the enemy? There's a reason why you got it. Like, for the Black Panthers, the way they looked at it, like, the way that they was being treated by the police, that's who the quote-unquote enemy was. You know what I'm saying? They had the guns to protect themselves from the police. Who are y'all protecting yourself from?
But what the way because you know what I'm saying, the cult thing is something that I really dive into. The apocalypse thing is something that I dive into a lot too. And when you bring those two together, you kind of notice that the people that they're talking about is usually the people who don't share that belief system. Um, and in the midst of an apocalypse, you can kind of use your imagination a little bit, and you know, you can just think that, you know, because they have the compound, they have everything else, and you know, if you know when everything goes down and when everything goes bad, you can just imagine the type of people who may or may not want to take that from them. And that's just, you know what I'm saying, I'm assuming that's what would probably be their thought process. And you can tell, like, you know, maybe they thinking that this is what we have to protect. Not only do we have to protect ourselves in this scenario, but we have to protect what we have, because you know what I'm saying, this was given us by God. And then, you know what I'm saying, this is, we have the second coming of Jesus, and there's no telling what they'll try to do to him. And once again, it's that fear aspect. You know what I'm saying? This whole thing was, we got to remember, these whole things are based on fear. You know what I'm saying? Especially this. This is all fear. And so, you know, that's their whole thing, is that the whole teaching is based off of the seven pillars or the seven principles, you know what I'm saying, of sin. And then, you know what I'm saying, you're talking about the four horsemen coming and all of this other shit. And so they probably thinking that this is what's going to help them when that time comes. So I kind of get the weirdo shit that they was on, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying, I also understand why the government was so focused on getting rid of them as well, because you know what I'm saying, they don't want any they don't want anything to go against what they're doing. They don't want anything to ruin the possibility of having the power that they have, especially around the time in '93. What's interesting though is the fact that, you know what I'm saying, we talked about it earlier, is this is the first time we've seen media cover a situation as big as this, as if it's like, you know what I'm saying, how they would do in the war. They would send journalists over there and everything to cover the war. This was something that the media was covering on home turf. And this is the first time that this has happened on home turf in history. So much so to where you kind of got to look at it like this made it more of a shit show than it was. You know what I'm saying? While guns was, you know what I'm saying, being fired, while they were basically shooting back and forth with each other, you have the media recording all of this and getting all of this. And they talked to, when they talked to one, I think it was David Maloney or whatever. I forgot how you pronounce his last name or say his last name, but he was talking about how they had all the footage of everything that was going on. And remember, when they was leaving, the ATF officers was stopping them and asking them a whole bunch of fucking questions. And remember, he said, like, I had to take the VHS tape out and put it in his jacket just so they wouldn't confiscate it, because they knew that they fucked up. They knew that whatever. And this is another reason why I said I believe that they shot first, is because of the way that they were acting in this whole situation. They were damn near like close to interrogating these two about the footage that they had, because the way that they went in and the way that they did everything, they pretty much created this whole situation. And that's why I said what I said earlier, because you cannot go into a situation like that without knowing what and remember, even Keshner said it on the phone. He said, yo, y'all just came in here guns blazing. Y'all don't know what we was doing. Y'all don't know what we got. Y'all don't know who else is in here. Like, y'all don't got no information. And you went in there blind and you put these people's life on the line for no fucking reason when you didn't have to. Now 4 people are dead for nothing. And so are 82 other people dead for nothing. And all of these people lost their lives because of pretty much a dick swinging contest.
I get what you're saying, and the whole thing of them interrogating old dude, to me, in my opinion, is more of like, yeah, like, we fucked up, but we don't want nobody to see our fuck up.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the one thing about the government is like, because they love to look like they are in control of everything. That's one of the reasons why when it comes to the Vietnam War, like a lot of people look down upon them because we didn't quote unquote win that war.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it was an unwinnable war from the fucking first place. It's a civil war. At some point, you got to leave.
You didn't do the proper fucking reconnaissance. You can't go. You can't go into a place. First and foremost, how do you go into a place or try to raid a place? You don't even know where the fucking entrance is.
You don't know where the exits are. You don't know if they got tunnels. You don't know anything. Y'all are completely blind.
Remember when they was talking about it, they were saying like once they start shooting, it was motherfuckers up in guard posts shooting at them. You didn't see the fucking guard posts. You didn't realize that these could be guard posts. Like, what the fuck was y'all thinking to go into this situation with no fucking intel whatsoever? That's fucking, to me, that's the wildest shit that I've ever heard, especially coming from the government, because it's like, goddamn, like, y'all just thought y'all was going to infiltrate them and nothing was going to happen? Y'all thought y'all was just going to get the best of them on the sneak move? You didn't think that maybe, just maybe, these motherfuckers was crazy enough to, because of all the shit that they had, maybe they had minds out in that motherfucker. Y'all ain't think about none of that shit?
Exactly.
Like, that was a total shit show.
Yeah, because like they rolled them tanks out there, and what if them tanks would start just fucking blowing up and shit?
Exactly.
Y'all had no idea what the hell was going on, what they was capable of. If y'all knew they had the type of guns that they had, to have 50 cals, to have grenades, how do y'all know they didn't? Like you brought up a great point. How you know they didn't have mines out there?
Exactly.
So, but you know, for just a couple of facts before we get out of here, like during that first, when they tried to go in for the raid and the gunshots started going off, David got hit twice. He got hit in the hand and he got hit in like the stomach area. And so, you know, he started getting infected and shit. Like, he knew that he was going to die.
Yeah.
His whole thing was, I'm not dying alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he was getting his message out there too.
Exactly. Like, he kept telling them, like, yo, put my broadcast out there. Like, I want y'all to play this over the radio station because I want people to hear my word. And he's like, I'm not going to give y'all any, you know, because he was using kids as leverage. Like, I would give y'all, you know, some kids if y'all play my message over the radio. You know what I'm saying? So then he ended up doing the whole thing of like, I think that when they were just like, fuck it, and we're going to, you know, shoot this gas in here, and we're going to do this whole thing. I think David saw, because it did the battle ram join in there where they knocked down like the door and like half of the wall or whatever. So I think that he was like, yo, like, it's over. And the way that place burned, because they said that there was fires in 4 different spots and they could smell gasoline. Yeah. So they did it to themselves. They didn't.
That's hard to believe, bro, but go ahead.
I think they did. I understand they did. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I think that David convinced them we're, you know, in his eyes, like we're dying for the Lord, or we're doing Lord, you know what I'm saying, God's work or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, and there was no evidence to say that they didn't do it either. Like, nobody denied that happened as well.
And see, and that's why I say, like, in the ones that came out in 2018, like there were things being showed of like gasoline being poured on the ground. Yeah. Well, throughout the, you know, the place or whatever, whatnot. And the way that it burnt and how the fire started in 4 different places at the same time, and the way that it burnt like it was gasoline. Right. Like, it burnt too fast and too thick, and then the explosion, because of, you know, the place where all the guns was being stored, and that's why the big ass explosion happened or whatever, whatnot. But I think that this was a situation where he was just like, yo, like, we have a calling, and our calling is we're gonna all sit here and we're gonna all die together. I think David was like, yo, he knew. Even though, like you said, dick swinging contest and all that type of shit, he's like, yo, I'm not dying in this bitch alone. and my name is going to live on forever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To the fact of like, I convinced all these people to do what I want them to do, and like for me to sit here and to put kids in your plan to where there are 20 kids who died that day, like that's fucking insane, dude. Like it's so crazy to get the most innocent people on this earth to get them involved in whatever your visions are, whatever you had planned. That was wild. It was definitely wild. But I mean, I'm not going to give them all the credit in the world, but it was a relief to sit back and hear people for the DEA or ATF or the FBI to be like, yo, we're responsible. You know what I'm saying, for the way that this shit went down. Like, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna take some responsibility because a lot of this shit is y'all fault. Because my whole thing is if I'm running this operation and the whole thing goes when the mailman goes in and say, yo, like they're coming, the guy we had on the inside come out and say, yo, they know you coming, we're gonna serve this warrant another day. Or at least we're gonna try. I know you don't usually call people and tell them that you got a warrant to come in, but to want to go in, because like the way that most of the times warrants are being sold, are being served, is there's a knock at the door. Yo, we got a search warrant and we're coming in. Yeah. Like for them to try to do it the way that they did it, it was a shit show. This shit. That's why the TV series was so fucking good, because it was just like a written TV show. Like what makes a TV show great? There's a plan that's laid out, like, or either a bank robbery or Inception, right? Great example. You love Inception. They had a plan on how they wanted this shit to go. What happened as soon as they got there? A goddamn train came through the fucking middle of the street. Like, it's chaos. This whole plan was chaos from the beginning. Literally. You see a mailman and you tell him that y'all are serving a fucking warrant, and he goes in and tells them that it started out as a shit show from the very fucking beginning. And that's what, I don't want to call it entertaining, but like that's what makes it interesting, though, the fact of like that they still went in, and like you said, like this is one of they biggest. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of mistakes that we can hold them responsible for. I mean, even going, you know what I'm saying, going back to fucking, Marcus Garvey, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's a lot of situations that could be used of where they fucked up at, you know what I'm saying? Like, even like you brought up Abe Lincoln, you know what I'm saying? Like that dude's beliefs, you know what I'm saying? To take him out in a fucking theater and shit. So it's, I don't know, man. It's wild. I just don't see how people, but I think that those gullible people, I think a lot of those people that there's something missing in their life to where they need a void to fill it, to where they're able to go along with shit like this, because a lot of strong-minded people will kind of look at it similar to the way that we're looking at it, like, nah, like this shit you talking about, I ain't with it. So I think that a lot of people, not even just in this country, but just all over the world, where people are looking for something to believe in. And if a person is slick enough, they can get you to believe just about anything. And I honestly believe that they believed in him enough to where they knew that they wasn't making it out of there alive. So they was like, yo, we're going to prove a point. And that's why they went out the way they went out. But that's my opinion.
Absolutely, man. You make some great points. Very, very great points. So let's go ahead and jump into the fire flames, bro.
Let's do it.
Yoga fire. Yoga flame.
All right, man. What are you giving this?
Like I've been speaking on, man, to me the 2018 version is a lot better than this one. It's more on the conversation that we had. It wasn't really based on the government's part. It's more of the Davidian part. So I would give that one a higher rating than this one. I'm gonna give this one. I mean, like I said, it's not bad. I give it a 3.5 because I would give the 18 version like a 4 or 4.5. But I'm only giving it this because it was more centered on the government. And it's a lot of he said, she said going on there. And you know, the one guy, I don't know, man, he kind of threw me off, man. The Chris guy, the guy that was the FBI, the sniper dude.
Yeah,
how he's the one who could have ended the whole thing because I had to.
It's always one of them, bro. It's always one of them, man.
I'm like, man,
I had him right in my crosshairs. I could have just pulled the trigger, and this all would have been over in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and like, man, and then like I'm sitting there, and then a bullet flies right through my head, like right past my head. I heard the bullet whistle past me, and man, get the fuck out of here, man! Like that dude, he kind of threw me off, man. So, yeah. But now I'm gonna give this a 3.5, man. But I really suggest for people who are really interested in this shit, watch the version that came out in 2018. That shit was really, really good. The mini TV series was really good too. But I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Okay, that's what's up, man. I'm giving it a 3. And the reason I'm giving it a 3 is because of certain aspects that they, like I said, they didn't get into. They didn't get into, or they didn't deep dive into the pedophilia aspect of it, which to me, I thought was the most important thing. Because when you in a situation like that, and they, you know, you talk about cults and everything else, this always seems to be the focal point of all the cult leaders, is sleeping with hella women, and then not only sleeping with hella women, but also sleeping with these young girls. And it's something behind that, and that's something that we have to pinpoint when we talking about these groups. And also just the fact of how they didn't talk so much so about how important the media played a part in all of this. They focused on it a little bit, but it wasn't as much as they should have, because I think that's what really made this situation as bad as it did. You know what I'm saying? With the media playing the part that they played. And then not only that, you know what I'm saying, the shit show it ended up becoming. And then, you know, to me, I think this was more so of a point to move across politically. To me, that's where like the focus was about this whole thing. And it wasn't necessarily the information about the incident itself. It was more so trying to push some weird political agenda. And I gathered that not just from this documentary, but from the podcast companion as well, because they talked a lot about, you know what I'm saying, the Oklahoma City bomb, and they even was talking about January 6th and shit like that. So, you know, they really did a weird political twist on this. So yeah, I'm giving it a 3, man. I would have liked to see more so about the information about, you know what I'm saying, the weird shit Keshner was doing. And you know what I'm saying, and how the media kind of flubbed this one for the for the government agencies. And now we're getting into the coming soon.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
All right, man. So what do we have next?
Man, this is just by coincidence, people. Like we did, like we set up our list 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's just by coincidence that this person last week just got a Hollywood star. That we got an appreciation episode on, you know what I'm saying, one of the great comedians turned actor, action star. If you want to throw that in there, man, we got Martin Lawrence coming up.
Yes, sir.
And like I say, it's just by coincidence. We didn't plan this. We did not know he was about to get a Hollywood star, so congratulations on that. Yeah. But yeah, man, we got the great Martin Lawrence. I know you're probably gonna zero in more on the whole comedy part, stand up part, because you are very, very huge into that field.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's gonna be fun getting into, you know what I'm saying, a guy like Martin Lawrence.
Right, for sure, man. That's gonna be a whirlwind, bro. Because he's done so much, bro, in such a long time, man. Like he's really been on top for a long, long time. So yeah, I can't wait to dive into that one. But before we leave out of here, we do have to say rest in peace to Harry Belafonte, who passed earlier today. Icon, you know what I'm saying, civil rights, from civil rights to music to movies. Well, I mean, at this point, what haven't this man done? Philanthropist, a ambassador, you know what I'm saying? Just everything. He is one of the people who helped fund the civil rights movement in the midst of what was probably the hardest time in America. He definitely was the person who stood, one of the people who had the back of the people, and he went out and made sure that, you know, he did what he could, even from marching to, you know what I'm saying, protests to making statements on TV and in music and everything else, movies as well. He is also a front runner for so many things that we see in movies and television as well. Yeah, rest in peace, Harry Belafonte.
Most definitely, man. Rest in peace to him. We spoke a little bit about him when we did the documentary on Is That Black Enough for You?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was a huge part of that. He spoke on that. You know, he talked about how, you know what I'm saying, he took countless years off because of, you know, he felt that some of the roles that he was being given, he didn't really like the subject matter around those roles. So he took his prime, like, you know, he pulled a I mean, I know Muhammad Ali didn't do it voluntary, but you know what I'm saying, he took his prime off for what he believed in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and then, you know, he tried to do, because at the time, you know, Westerns was doing really good. You know, him and Sidney Poitier got together and put out a Western film, and he was really disappointed that the people didn't show up for him. He was like, man, like I've been fighting for the rights of Black people, and we try to give y'all a Black Western film, and y'all didn't come out and support. He was hurt. You seen it in the interview where he was just like, yo, like I just literally, you know what I'm saying, spent the prime of my career out to, you know, for a cause, and I didn't get any appreciation for it. So definitely, man, rest in peace to Harry Belafonte. Like you said, man, he was a pioneer, man. So
absolutely,
legend.
Absolutely, legacy is definitely going to live on forever. Listen, guys, if you enjoyed the Waco documentary, if you enjoy cults, or if you're looking to join the cult, can't really help you on that last one, but interested to know that you want to join one. Hit us up on the social medias on Instagram and Twitter at ViewAnonPod. You can also hit us up on Facebook at VA Pod Watch Group. Also, do not forget that we have our very own community on Twitter, Viewers Anonymous. Make sure you join in. Post all the movie and television stuff that you like, you want to talk about. We just finished up with Snowfall, so that's been a major topic. So join in the conversation in there, man. You might see a movie that you like, that you might want us to cover, or even just for that fact that you might want to have some friends watch with you, man. Throw that thing in there, tweet it in there. And we are definitely sure to converse with you back and forth. Yeah, and if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Scoots Bronson on Twitter. I have a link tree in the bio. You can follow me everywhere else there. That's all I got.
And for me, y'all can find me at s.foster8 on Instagram and on Twitter at 28 minutes or less pod. That's just on IG. Follow the podcast. 28 minutes or less. It's on all major platforms. Just dropped episode, was it 122, where I did impactful and classic albums, man. I was continuing my 50-year anniversary of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You came on the first 2 episodes with me, so I just dropped one solo where, you know what I'm saying, where I put out my favorite artists and who I felt had classic albums, or how many classic albums that they had, albums that impacted me when I was young, that maybe wasn't a classic album, but you know what I'm saying, there was some joints on there that impacted me. So, you know what I'm saying, that type of conversation that I had. I think it's gonna be interesting though. I think if you hear some of the stuff that I felt was classic albums, it'd be interesting to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, for sure, bro, for sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, until the next episode, we will see you then. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. It is greatly appreciated. Your support, it definitely keeps us moving, definitely keeps us going. Until then, though, like they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Good.